G'day, Tony here. Welcome to day one. Going to start on our veggie garden today. Standing out on our lovely 5-acre property here in South East Queensland. We're about to start something we've been planning to do since we first moved onto this property about 10 years ago. We've always felt like we've been too busy and other things on our plate, but with the current lockdowns with coronavirus, it's given us an opportunity to use some of that time to perhaps get this garden established and we can enjoy the fruits of our labour down the track. So, I'm no expert at gardening. I've got to admit that, even though I grew up on a wheat and sheep farming property over in Western Australia, but that was mainly large-scale wheat farming, canola, barley, that sort of thing. So I'm certainly no expert at gardening. I've been doing a little bit of research on YouTube, trying to glean some information from all the experts. So we're about to make a start today. Fortunately, we've got a good area to plant our veggie garden, which is a start. So we're going to start with sort of designing and prepping our garden beds ready to go. All right, let's begin. So fortunately, we've got a pretty good area to set up our garden bed in. As you can see, I'm just sort of combing the perimeter of a pen that I built quite some time ago. We had to contain a couple of big dogs that we had a Malamute Shepherd and a Malamute, and they didn't mix too well with small animals, so we had to build a secure pen to keep them in at night, just so they didn't escape. And also we went on a trip overseas, so that we didn't want to have the possibility of disasters happening when the people that were looking after our property at the time were here. So hence we had already built this pen, and one of those dogs has passed now, and the other one we've got sort of over there in the house yard. She's pretty settled these days. But fortunately we've got a nice big area here. It's a 6-foot high fence. It's fairly secure, and we did have the chickens running in here for a while, and we've just got our ducks just up the end of the pen, just temporarily housed until I finish off their pen. Got a chook pen over there, which was just finished about a week ago, so we're able to get the chickens out of here. But the first thing we've got to do with our garden, or veggie garden, is just got to start cleaning up some of the ground in here and prepping the soil. As you can see, there's quite a few sort of weeds and plants that have popped up here, so I've got to start cleaning them out, and then we'll start prepping the beds. Alright, I've got my trusty little helper here, Malachi, my boy. Say hello, buddy. Now Malachi loves helping me with tools, and he's going to give me a hand to measure out the garden area. I've dug out all the bulk of the weeds, so it's sort of cleaned up a little bit now. And now we're going to measure our garden, and we're going to design our garden beds. And you're going to help me, aren't you, Malachi? Because you're pretty good at using the tools, aren't you? So what are we going to use here, buddy? What's this called?
Measure.
A measure. A big long tape measure. Alright, so you ready to give me a hand?
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's go. So I've done some measurements, and I've just drawn up the beginnings of a basic design here. As you can see, we've pretty much got a fairly rectangle sort of shape to work with a bit of a sort of an angled truncation there. Over there we've got the gate area, which was sort of left as a bit of a clear zone, and I just sort of started with the two garden beds there, which we're going to make 1 by 2 metres, and we're probably going to put our tomatoes in there, which will be just over there where I've got the camera tripod. We've got a fair bit of soil preparation to do there. The ground is really hard and compacted, and there's a few roots growing in there too, so we may have to raise the garden beds a little bit. First 2 garden beds are marked out. Now we can start turning the soil. So that wheelbarrow load consisted of horse poo, sheep poo, cow poo, chicken poo, a bit of compost in there as well. It's a pile that's been sitting there for a while, so it's got leaves and sticks and all sorts of bits and pieces, so that'll be good. I dare say there's going to be some weeds growing up in there as well, but we'll just monitor that as we go along. So I had a bit of a score. I was digging around in the storage shed for some things. I knew the previous owner of our property, when we bought it 10 years ago, had left some fertilisers and things lying around, but because we'd never began to start the process of a garden, we didn't look any deeper into it. But I had a good look and found some fairly helpful things to add to our garden. So I found some gypsum. Got another full bag over there, but because we've got a fairly high clay content in the soil, the gypsum helps with the soil quality and helps loosen it up a bit and allows for good water penetration, etc, etc. So just going to add a little bit of this to the soil, then dig it in. We also found some garden fertiliser, so all these things are going to be very helpful moving forward. So, finished preparing the garden beds. Put some gypsum in the soil, some manure, got some water in there as well, gave it a good water. So, now we're going to plant our first little tomato seedlings. Now these we grew from some seeds that the previous owner had left here in a massive big container about 10 years ago when we bought it off him, and I think the seeds had been sitting in this tin for probably at least 15 years, maybe up to 20 years, so we weren't expecting anything to grow, but the tomatoes did, so we're in luck. So we can get these into the ground now. A few weeds that have sprouted up in the pot. We didn't have the best soil to plant these in at the time, so just going to dig a big hole out, loosen up the soil around it. Okay, whack that in there. I'll get that a little bit deeper actually. First tomato planted. Now we've got 3 more to put in and that'll be done for the day.